Hello everybody, my name is Suman Dua. I am a registered migration agent at Nationwide Migration and Education. In this video today, I will be explaining you the nomination criteria for Queensland for both visa subclasses 190 and 491. As you all are aware that Queensland is open now, so they opened on Tuesday, which was the 27th of October, and they are taking applications for both visa subclasses 190 and 491. They currently have 4 streams. The first one is for the graduates of a Queensland university. The second one is for the skilled workers who are working in Queensland. The third one is for the applicants who are offshore. So this stream is currently closed. We will get an update about this stream maybe later in the year. And the fourth one is for applicants who are running a small business in regional Queensland. In this video today, we will be talking in detail about the first 2 streams: the graduates of a Queensland university and the skilled workers in Queensland. For the small business owner stream, I will be making a separate video. A very important thing to note is that all the criteria which is required by Queensland for the visa subclasses 190 and 491 is to be met at the time you make the expression of interest with them. Now, before we look at these streams, first you need to meet the requirements that are set by the Department of Home Affairs, which are that you need to be under 45 years of age, you need to have a positive skills assessment in your nominated occupation, you need to have competent English, and you need to have a point score of 65 points including the state points. Now let's look at the first stream, which is for the graduates of a Queensland university. So this stream is available for high performing graduates who have graduated in a master's, bachelor's or a PhD degree from a Queensland university. Also note that all these streams are only available for onshore applicants who are currently residing in Queensland. Now let's look at the eligibility criteria for the graduates. So for the graduates, they can only apply for a 491 visa unless they are a PhD graduate. So what it means is that if you are a PhD graduate, you are eligible to lodge your expression of interest for the 190 visa under this stream. You also do not need any work experience or a job offer letter in your nominated occupation. For the graduates, they can choose any occupation which is available on the eligible occupation list from the Department of Home Affairs. We will put the occupation list in the description. And also for the PhD graduates, it's very important that they have completed the whole course in Queensland and they have graduated in the last 2 years. And like I mentioned before, there is no job requirement for the PhD graduates. Under the graduate stream for bachelor's and master's graduates, they could be eligible for a 491 visa nomination as long as they meet these requirements, that they need to have their occupation listed on the eligible occupation list from the Department of Home Affairs. So they could have the occupation on the MLTSSL, STSOL or ROL list. They also need to have completed the full course from a Queensland university, and they also need to have completed 100% of course from a Queensland university or institution. They will also need proficient English or higher and a GPA of 6.0 or higher. Apart from this, they need 3 months work experience in their nominated occupation for a minimum of 20 hours. This work experience needs to be post-graduation. They will also require a job offer letter for a further 12 months for a minimum of 20 hours a week. Now let's look at the second stream, which is the skilled workers in Queensland. So this stream is available for both visa subclasses 190 and 491. So once you have met the criteria which is set by the Department of Home Affairs, you will also need to meet the criteria that is set by Migration Queensland. So the criteria is that for visa subclass 190, you need to have a point score of 80 points or higher. So these points include the state points. And for the visa subclass 491, you need to have the point score of 65 points or higher. You will need to have your occupation listed on the eligible occupation list from the Department of Home Affairs. We will put the link in the description. So you can choose any occupation from the MLTSSL, STSOL or ROL list. But please note that the ROL list, which is the regional occupation list, is only available for the 491 visa. You will also be required to have a minimum of proficient English. If you are lodging an expression of interest for 190 visa subclass, then you need a minimum of 6 months work experience. This work experience needs to be full-time, 35 hours a week, and you also need a 12-month job offer letter from an employer from Queensland, and the job needs to be full-time as well. If you are lodging an expression of interest for the 491 visa subclass, then you do need 3 months of work experience in regional Queensland, and you also need to to be living in regional Queensland, the work experience again has to be full-time, but it could be a combination of 2 jobs, and you also need a further job offer letter from a regional Queensland's employer for a minimum of 12 months. They have also mentioned that the businesses need to have an office in Queensland. A virtual office will not be accepted. Queensland has also set a quota for some of the very competitive occupations. So let's look at these occupations. So for the occupation grouping of finance, they have only got 150 seats available. So these are for the accountant general, finance manager, management accountant, and each occupation has been allocated a quota of 50 seats. For engineers, they have got 200 total seats, and they have allocated 50 seats to civil engineer, 50 to mechanical engineer, 50 to electrical engineer, and 50 to engineering technologists. For ICT as well, they have got 200 total seats, and they have allocated seats to software engineers, developer programmer, ICT business analyst, software and application programmers NEC, and each occupation has been allocated 50 seats. For quantity surveyor, they have allocated 30 seats. For nurses, 150 total seats for these specific occupations, which is aged care, critical care and emergency, NEC nurses, and they have allocated 50 seats to each of these occupations. For the trades, they have allocated 30 seats for the motor mechanic and 30 seats for cooks. So once they have reached the quota for these specific occupations, they will not be inviting any further applicants. They have also introduced caveats for accountants, cooks and chefs. For accountants general, preference will be given to applicants employed in an accounting firm, must be a CPA or are studying towards become a CPA. Internal and external auditors, they must have a job as an auditor, not as an accountant. For cooks and chefs, they cannot be working in takeaway or fast food businesses. Let's look at some of the good things about this program and also some of the not so good things about this program. So one of the good things is that all occupations are eligible to apply for the visa subclasses 190 or 491 as long as you meet the additional requirements that are set by Migration Queensland. The second good thing is that the graduates of a Queensland university, they have relaxed work experience requirements. So they only need 20 hours work experience, and also the job offer letter that they require needs 20 hours on the contract. Something which is not so good about this program is that all applicants now require a proficient English for both visa subclasses 190 and 491. So the only applicants who do not require a proficient English are the PhD graduates, or if you are applying under the small business owner category. And another thing which is not so good is that the graduates of masters and bachelors will only be considered for a 491 visa unless they meet the requirements under the skilled workers in Queensland category. Another thing which is not so good is that the Section 48 barred applicants will not be invited by Migration Queensland, and they will update us later in the financial year if this is going to change. Migration Queensland has also answered some of the frequently asked questions, so I will go through them in this video today. So the first one is that I'm currently on a student visa and working in one of the critical sectors that allows me to work full-time hours while still studying. Can I apply for the subclass 190 or 491 visa? So the answer is that if you have a full skills assessment and relevant registration or licensing, if applicable, for your occupation, and the business that you're working for meets the critical sector requirement, which is set by the Department of Home Affairs, and you have almost finished your studies, you can lodge the expression of interest, but it will be assessed on case-to-case basis. So the next one which has been asked by a lot of applicants is that the business I work for has been affected by COVID and I'm now working less than 35 hours per week. Can I still apply for the 190 and 491 visa? So Migration Queensland has advised that in this situation, they will look at your payslips, employment contract and statement of service and make a decision on a case-to-case basis. The next one I have is, I'm on a dependent of a student visa holder. Can I apply for subclass 190 or 491 visa while on a student visa? Yes, but only if you have full-time work rights. So that is if your dependent is doing a master's degree or a PhD and you have full-time work rights. So you cannot apply if you only have 20 hours work rights. So if your dependent is studying bachelor's or a lower qualification, then in that case you only have 20 hours work rights and you won't be eligible to apply. So the last one concern I have is I've already received a nomination, but I did not make a visa application. Can I be re-nominated? So Migration Queensland will not accept a second expression of interest from the same applicant for re-nomination within 6 months of the first nomination being issued. After a 6 months period from the first nomination, you can submit a new expression of interest if you continue to meet Queensland State nomination criteria and the program is open. I hope this information was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us.
Stay updated about Australia's immigration. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel.